Channel that exposed Kong cash diary in 2017.
Income tax officials have recovered close to 10 crores in hard cash from Karnataka Minister D.K. Shivakumar. How does an individual lay claim to so much cash?
Comes another mega explosive, the biggest scandal of the year. A plot to weaken the Lokayukta. Cover fire for corrupt exposed. Who ordered this vasuli? Times now. Our channel fights for us.
On to the big story we're tracking this evening. The sustainability, viewers, of any democracy depends on the trust between the public and the public institutions, and hence it becomes paramount to hold these public functionaries accountable. That's exactly why Lokayukta was first formed, to address citizens' grievances against the administration. Well, the Lokayukta versus ACB debate in Karnataka took a sharp turn when on Thursday the Karnataka High Court, while passing an order abolishing the Anti-Corruption Bureau, observed that the very constitution of ACB by the government is to shield the corrupt politicians, ministers and officers from the watchful eyes of Lokayukta. Now, remember, in 2017, Times Now exposed the Congress cash diary. A ripped-up diary recovered from one of the Congress's CM contenders back then, D.K. Shivakumar, with notings of 3 crores AICC. Times Now's meticulous revealed the political shield to the corrupt under Congress's Siddaramaiah, and we asked where his money trail led. Today, Times Now will once again reveal the systematic subversion of the fight against graft under Congress. Viewers, it's not us saying this, it's the Karnataka High Court which has blown the lid. Let's dive deep into the scathing observations by the High Court while it scrapped the ACB. On your screens are those details of how the court has exposed state subversion. The ACB, it said, cheated and rather was created back in 2016 to shield the corrupt. That's what the Karnataka High Court has said. We've also highlighted the pages for you. It says ACB to shield corrupt ministers, politicians, officers, corrupt shielded from watchful eyes of Lokayukta, weakening Lokayukta to protect them from persecution. Page 188 very clearly specified scope for misuse of ACB by Chief Minister to control opponents. Also, the possibility to favor party or party men lies with the ACB. These are very, very scathing observations made by the Karnataka High Court, viewers. It also went on to say that the ACB directly diluted the functioning of Lokayukta. Government could have strengthened the Lokayukta instead. So that's the allegation and the question being put out by the Karnataka High Court. Why an attempt was not made to instead strengthen the Lokayukta? An attempt was made to in fact dilute it. Executive or government order also clearly depicts the Chief Minister is supreme. That's exactly what the High Court says is wrong, and that the ACB was formed on recommendation from the DG and IG. Impugned order also erroneous and contrary to KL Act. That's what the order went on to say. Furthermore, it said formation of ACB defeated the purpose of Lokayukta. Very, very important point if we go by the order in detail. Says that it created a parallel body to institution of Lokayukta. This to achieve the same purpose with lesser intent. Those are some of the scathing observations made by the Karnataka High Court while it abolished the ACB. Now listen in to the Chief Minister who formed the ACB 6 years back, Siddaramaiah. Today, the Congress is trying to shirk responsibility.
I respect the decision of the High Court. It is for the government to take a decision. Our government is not there. Anti-Corruption Bureau is existing in so many states, not only in Karnataka. In Gujarat also, there is an Anti-Corruption Bureau. The circumstances were different when it was constituted. Now, the High Court has taken a decision that abolishing the government order. I welcome it.
Now, the Karnataka High Court has also, in a sense, triggered a war of words. That was Siddaramaiah's reaction. Now, listen into the current BJP Chief Minister explain why they backed the ACB in the High Court. Today is what they say.
High Court nalli ACB ಒಂದು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಆಗಿದೆ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಪಕ್ಷದ ಪ್ರಣಾಳಿಕೆ ಆ ಪಕ್ಷದ ಪ್ರಣಾಳಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಗಮನದಲ್ಲಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡು ಇವತ್ತು ಕ್ಯಾಬಿನೆಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಲವಾರು ಸೂಚನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಆ ಮೂಲ ಪ್ರತಿ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಕ್ಯಾಬಿನೆಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಏನು BJPಯ ಪ್ರಣಾಳಿಕೆ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಆಧರಿಸಿನೇ ಮುಂದಿನೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ.
Let him blame, but he should clear that. He should also tell that he was the person who abolished, who weakened the Lokayukta. So the discredit of weakening the Lokayukta goes to Sri Siddaramaiaji when he was a chief minister. Of course, our party in the manifesto in 2018 have said we will abolish, we will take away the ACB and we will bring back the Lokayukta.
Essentially, what's come to light is that government after government in the state of Karnataka have benefited from the ACBs while a collective attempt was made to not abolish the ACB. While the Congress pushed in the creation of the ACB, the BJP backed it in courts. We've heard the BJP's arguments as well, but how effective has the ACB been in fighting corruption? That's the big question. And the track record also speaking for itself. Over the last 6 years of its existence, of the 2,000 plus cases booked, in total, only 22 convictions in the last 6 years. And none of those convictions, by the way, of any of the high-ranking officials. All of them were low-ranking officials. The question then is, why did the then Congress Sarkar weaken the anti-graft body? Whom was it trying to protect? Let's quickly open this up. We have, before that, these are the details on your screens of the number of cases booked vis-a-vis the cases underway and how only 22 convictions have taken place. We're quickly going to open this up with our guests.
From channel that exposed Kong cash diary in 2017,
Income tax officials have recovered close to 10 crores in hard cash from Karnataka Minister D.K. Shivakumar. How does an individual lay claim to so much cash?
comes another mega explosive, the biggest scandal of the year, a plot to weaken the Lokayukta. Cover fire for corrupt exposed. Who ordered this vasuli? Times now. Our channel fights for us.
All right, we have Mohan Krishna, Karnataka BJP spokesperson, joining us. We also have Lokesh Jindal, who's from the Congress with us. My first question is to you, Mr. Lokesh Jindal, because first up, the question arises of how the ACB was set up back in 2016. Now, if we go by Justice Santosh Hegde, the ex-Lokayukta, he says the ACB did not persecute a single minister or an IS officer. I want to ask you, then was the creation of ACB not a farce, just a farce?
No, absolutely not. In fact, when you are talking about Prevention of Corruption Act and its implementation, it was rendered over to the state governments so as to have effective mechanism to implement it. Even when we are talking about Lokayukta, its jurisdiction is not similar in all the states. It varies from state to state. Now, Anti-Corruption Bureau was very much formed with the essence so as to curb corruption. But look at the manner in which the BJP government in Karnataka has been pursuing corruption. The entire issue of Anti-Corruption Bureau comes in the backdrop of the incident of PS Sandesh, the High Court judge who was being threatened for a transfer when he was performing his duty.
No, you're asking that question to the BJP.
The point is,
but then why has no action been taken by the ACB so far? Not a single high-ranking official who has come under the scanner or action has been taken against any such individual.
Was very much formed with the point of view so as to prevent corruption, but it was being implemented by the present government so as to threaten the High Court judges and to give effect to corruption. So please understand, it is not the institution that has failed, but the manner in which the institution was being applied, the manner in which the institution was being used as a tool so as to give effect to corruption.
Sir, it is the High Court that has gone ahead with these scathing remarks. It has made it very, very clear and has said in as many words that a deliberate attempt was made to dilute the powers of Lokayukta is why the ACB was constituted. Let me take that up to Mohan Krishna, because that's the allegation that you're leveling against the current government. Mohan Krishna, now it goes without saying what Siddaramaiah had said back in 2016 when he'd written a letter to Sonia Gandhi, and I'm going to quickly put out a small excerpt. It's the endeavor of our government to give more attention and focus to fighting corruption in the system. In view of that, ACB has been set up. I'm confident that this will better results than what is happening at present. Cut to what has happened today. What do you make of this? The BJP, though, also needs to answer certain questions because the BJP was defending the ACB in the courts.
Let me answer to this way. We are not defending in the court. I have already requested our legal department to give me the correct picture. I think the AG has given a letter somewhere during when Janata Dal and the Congress government was there in the initial 2018-2019. In that time, that defending this ACB letter was given. Now I will tell you something. Mr. Lokesh Jindal, अरे कितना अच्छा बात करते हैं यार. आपने तो इतना धूल पहने के लिए सोच रहे हैं. You are talking about Sandesh, Justice Sandesh. Let me tell you what is this exactly. You wanted to shield your mantris, corrupt mantris then. What is that High Court has scathing remarks in the scathing remarks said? To weaken Lokayukta, you have brought in ACB. And you are Siddaramaiah, the Honorable ex-Chief Minister, you know what he says?
Mr. Krishna, I'm not quite sure if you can completely get away with that allegation because, you know, there are a series of defenses that we've also put out for viewers to understand the BJP's defense in the High Court, and clearly the BJP was of the opinion that, you know, this particular petition must be dismissed and the ACB doesn't disturb Lokayukta's powers. It's very clearly been argued by the BJP as well in the courts. I'll come back to you in just a minute.
From a channel that exposed Kong cash diary in 2017,
Income tax officials have recovered close to 10 crores in hard cash from Karnataka Minister D.K. Shivakumar. How does an individual lay claim to so much cash?
comes another mega explosive, the biggest scandal of the year, a plot to weaken the Lokayukta. Cover fire for corrupt exposed. Who ordered this vasuli? Times now, our channel fights for us.
A quick reaction before we go back to our guest. Times Now spoke to former Lokayukta Santosh Hegde while a stinging attack coming in from him on all political parties. He said parties flip-flop when in power.
I would call it people-friendly. Not that every judgment should be people-friendly. It should be in accordance with law. This is also in accordance with law. At the same time, this was the demand of the people also of Karnataka, where the corruption has gone to such a level. And unless it is investigated by an independent body, I don't think you can find a relief from that menace.
So how big do you think a win is this for the people? Because you mentioned that, considering the fact that this current government as well made promises earlier, that they would restore the powers of the Lokayukta. That didn't happen.
All those promises were frauds. In 2011, Lokayukta submitted a mining report in which, among other offices, 3 chief ministers named, one from the Congress, one from the BJP, one from the JDS.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that report for 1 year, this 2012 report was not implemented by the government of Karnataka. Congress went on a protest march from Bangalore to Ballari to insist upon implementation of the Lokayukta report on mining. Okay.
Yes.
But the BJP government didn't do it. Next election, BJP lost the election, Congress came to power and Siddaramaiah became the chief minister.
Yeah.
They didn't implement it either. My thinking or my suggestion is, they should give honest and good officers to investigate corruption in the state of Karnataka to the Lokayukta.
All right, we also have details of how there were several politicians from the Congress and from the JDU, from the JDS, from the BJP who have been under Lokayukta's lens. My question to you then is, Mr. Lokesh Jindal, there were different ways to strengthen Lokayukta. Either you could have brought the ACB under Lokayukta itself. There were many ways to go about it. So certainly an attempt has been made to make sure that Lokayukta doesn't remain independent and is not strengthened as much. Its powers have been diluted, sir.
I'm so sorry.
It's not me saying this, Mr. Jindal. It's the High Court that has said it.
There are certain aspects that we need to consider. In 2016, when the Anti-Corruption Bureau was formed, at that point of time, it was formed so as to implement the Prevention of Corruption Act. That is 1988. And all forms of issues related to corruption were to be brought within this ambit. Subsequently, after the major corruption scandals started emerging during the time period of Yediyurappa, as well as the present-day Basavaraj Bommai's government. At that point of time, such was the scale of corruption that there were various forms of instances in the media as well, so as to strengthen Lokayukta, because the present Anti-Corruption Bureau was unable to control these forms of corruption allegation. And then it was back in April-May when PS Santosh, he pointed out how he was threatened for a transfer when he was hearing a matter whereby the Karnataka High Court took a strong objection why ADGP was interfering in the function of the judiciary. So one point is
let me quickly tell you this. Let me come in here and tell you what the timeline was like, and then I'll go across to Mr. Mohan Krishna. 2015, the then Lokayukta resigned. The state police chief proposed ACB be set up to fight corruption in public offices. That's the argument that was presented by the state police chief. Cut to March 14, 2016, when the government passed executive order. But this is where it gets bizarre. March 19, the government issued notification superseding earlier ones that authorized Lokayukta police to probe cases under Prevention of Corruption Act. A quick 30-second justification from you, and then I have to go to Mohan Krishna and then wrap this up quickly.
The point is, why are we simply giving a clean sheet to the BJP government, which is having all forms of
question being asked
right
of the
now?
Congress, you must answer. I will go to the BJP and ask whatever I need to ask.
During the entire Congress regime in Karnataka, there were no corruptions in the manner in which the corruptions are taking place right now. Even their own BJP corporator, he committed suicide because the BJP minister was asking for corrupt money. How can you shield such a corrupt government?
Okay, Mr. Mohan Krishna, the Congress says no corruption was taking place during Congress rule in Karnataka. All right, let's keep that aside and quickly come back to what is being asked of the BJP. 2018 BJP election manifesto promised abolishment of the ACB. What happened then? Why in the courts was the BJP defending ACB?
Yes, KritSween, I can answer to you very fantastically.
Very briefly and very quickly, sir.
2018 manifesto, we said we came to power in 2019. 1 year, 7 months, this Congress JDS government, what they did is they shielded their people. They have shielded today on your Times Now channel, I will tell you. Mr. Siddaramaiah brought in ACB because the rampant corruption which has happened then. I will tell you, there was a 900 crore BDS scam. You know what High Court he said? Redo. And he got away. You blow watch. Who gave that? ACB did that. ACB gave a clean sheet. George, ACB gave a clean sheet.
Okay.
Then, how many ministers?
You know, interestingly, Mr. Mohan Krishna and Mr. Lokesh Jindal, now you both are involved in this war of words and talking about the corruption allegations against each other's parties. But the larger question remains, both the parties, both the BJP and the Congress, and that's exactly what has been highlighted, Mr. Hegde as well. Parties flip-flop when it comes to saving their own people, saving their own reputation. And that's the larger question here. I'm going to have to leave it at that. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on this debate.